Hello and welcome to Bricks and Banner, the show with real talk from the custom LEGO community. I'm your host as always, Billy, and before we get started, I want to let you know that on our Instagram page, bricks_and_banter, there is a wrap-up post I put up after every episode that contains some images relating to the things we discussed, so if you're feeling a little lost, make sure to check that out. Additionally, if you enjoyed the episode, it would mean a lot if you took the time to repost or share this episode's wrap-up post on your Instagram. That is currently the best way to support the pod and helps us get the word out there. With all that said, this week's guest is an exciting one. He has been in the community well over 10 years now. He's a frequent collaborator with Citizen Brick and has just recently started his own printing operation. That's right, this week's guest is Al from Minibigs. In this episode, we discussed his humble beginnings decaling, acquiring his own printer, and we even brainstormed some future products. So with no further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Al from Minibigs.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, real talk and live. Brick by brick, piece by piece, real talk and live. Brick by brick, piece by piece, real talk and live. Brick by brick, piece by piece.
And we're here with Minibigs. Al, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Billy.
All right, it's a real pleasure to have you on. I must say, thank you for being a supporter of the Patreon back when the Patreon was still up. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you enjoyed the podcast yourself, and I'm just glad to have you on now.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I always enjoyed it. It's really good. It's really fun to like listen to while I'm doing Lego type stuff. You know, It's really cool.
I'm glad. That was always the goal. Some people say they do it while they work out, and I'm like, all right, that's crazy. I mean, if Lego's really getting you amped, good for you. But
if I did work out, I might do that. But you know,
right.
Otherwise, I would
right.
never listen to it. So that wouldn't work out.
Right. Now, I mean, we might as well just jump right into it. Like I was just telling you, I took a little bit of a dive on your Flickr just before this, and it goes back deep. You've been around a lot longer than I first imagined. So, how did you really first get started with the custom scene?
Well, it was like 2008 or something. We started selling toys on Amazon.
Okay.
And we actually had a different name back then. We were called the Big Toy Hut. We had like
Yes, I know. I saw
a
that.
weird little logo with it was like a hut with like eyes and stuff. It was pretty funny. But yeah, so we used to sell toys online, and I always loved Lego, like from since I was like a little kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty old, so it was like way old, like original castle stuff and like the original space themes and stuff.
Totally.
But so I was like really into Lego, and it was like when the Stormtrooper battle packs came out. I think it was like 2008 or somewhere around there, and it had like the 3 white stormtroopers and the 1 black stormtrooper. And I was like, that'd be really sweet if I could like break these up and like sell them like individually. Some people don't want to buy a whole pack of like 4, or they just will want the black version or something. And so we started like buying these like Lego battle packs, and there was like the Rebel pack where they had those big giant helmets, and they did like really well on Amazon, selling them individually and stuff. So then I just started selling like it was like almost all Lego. I was like selling sets and guys and all kinds of stuff. And I think it was like 2008 or 2009 that the first Iron Man movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked like the Mark One, like armor version.
Yeah. What he
Like
made
from
in
the
that
movie.
cave. Yep.
Yeah, it was like all like rough and rugged and stuff. And I was like, that'd be really cool to be able to make this, because this is before they had the Marvel license, and they were
way
like,
before.
Yeah, I think they had maybe Batman around then, but they didn't have any
Would've-
Marvel stuff.
Yeah, it would have been just releasing if it was out.
Yeah. So I like looked into how I could make my own and stuff, and we started with water slide decals,
Mm.
and we made like an Iron Man, and we made like a Superman, and you can see all of my old, very rough customs on Flickr, I think. But Yeah, it
Yeah,
all
there's
started there,
some
and they
classic designs. Just
yeah,
very simplistic, but it's a nice style in and of itself.
yeah, thanks. And so we started selling them on Amazon, and we actually like sold quite a few, and we learned about the Lego conventions, and I went in 2009, and there was hardly any like uh figure customizers. I remember there was like one or two people there who had
Which
like
convention did you attend?
displays. Brick World Chicago,
Oh, okay, classic.
and I saw like one. I remember one. I can't remember the guy's name, unfortunately. He was kind of like a big inspiration for me. But he had like a board set up in like the mock section, and it was just like a board of all of his like custom guys, and it had like 30 figures on this board. And
That's
I
really
just stood
sweet.
there for like 20 minutes looking at these things because he used water slide decals like I did, you know.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was great. And next year by 2010, I ended up vending at Brick World Chicago. Was our very first time we did that, and it went like really well. And so we just kind of kept rolling with it, and the rest is history, I guess.
Mhm. Was I know one of the original figures you had made was Mario. Were those I know if there was also CB printed them, but did you start doing those in decal first?
Yeah, yeah, we did them in water slide decals. Um, my friend Myron is he did all of our like original art
Oh,
from
okay.
almost the beginning up until in fact he did like Anchorman, he did our Game of Thrones figures, he did the
Oh, sweet.
Mario, he did like almost everything that we did uh up until a few years ago. He's actually did a couple of designs that we're going to print pretty soon.
Awesome. Awesome.
But I forgot what the question was at this point.
Oh, no, I
what
was
was the
just
original what
no,
was
I
the
was just
original
curious
question?
if the Mario figures were initially decaled before CB printed
Oh,
them as well.
right. Yeah, so Myron drew those the Mario guys for us. There was actually a Mario and a Luigi,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we made like 25 of them or something. And yeah, they sold crazy well at the show, but then like we just kind of like moved on, you know.
Mhm.
And then later on, after we were working with Citizen Brick, they printed them up for us. Just the Mario. I think we did a Fire Mario, but
Yeah.
no Luigi.
Do you still have many of those decaled figures yourself?
Yeah, I have most of them. The I know I don't have an original Mario and Luigi because they
Wow.
like sold so well. I just kind of like sold them all. Then once it was already too late, I realized I didn't have any left.
Hmm.
But yeah, I have almost everything except those might be the only exceptions.
I always find it funny. I know Joe expresses it a lot, just trying to backtrack and find pieces of his like
Yeah,
catalog that he sold
yeah.
off. It's like
Oh yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, actually, I don't even have the Citizen Brick Mario. The only one I have is
Real
the Fire Mario,
Oh my gosh.
and I thought I had everything. And at this point, it's probably too late because I don't know how many Joe made, probably 200 or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, those don't
So
come around
if
often.
yeah, so if you have one of those, you're pretty lucky.
Got something special.
They were pretty low run.
What I'm kind of surprised is from just going around cons and being on Flickr with people like selling off their collections. I can't recall seeing many of your decaled figures, and now like looking back, I'd really love to own some of those. So that's gonna be
Oh
a
yeah.
new item to hunt for.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, they probably won't. They're probably like down in some bin somewhere, probably never to be seen again. But
Yeah, there. I think a lot would probably be in the hands of just common folk if they ordered them off Amazon. You know.
right, yeah. Especially like most of the older stuff, we only made like between 10 and 50.
Oh wow.
Um, and like we did when The Dark Knight came out, the one with Heath Ledger Joker in it.
Mm-hmm.
We made this big box set and it had like 14 figures in it or something. It was crazy. But we only made three sets of them. It had like every character from the movie in it, and they were all like decaled.
That is
And
really sick. I didn't see a. I saw a lot of characters from that movie on your page, but did you ever post the box set?
yeah, they were. We had three of them, and we put them all on eBay.
That's
And that was
awesome.
like
I'll have to
that
try to
was like
find
one
that.
of my that was like one of my. There's only three of them though. It was like my big first like hit that made me realize like, oh, you could actually make some money doing this.
Mm,
And I remember like sitting there watching like the last hour of bidding, and it got up to like $600 or something,
no way.
and my mind was like completely blown.
That's actually really amazing.
Yeah, it was wild. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I gotta try and track down a photo of that set. I gotta see that.
I think there is one. I think there's a photo on Flickr with all of them.
Some old school Spring Breaker energy, just big box set going for crazy
Yeah,
money. That's awesome though.
yeah, it was cool.
So moving past decaling, was the next step linking up with Citizen Brick to start collaborating?
Um, yeah, it was pretty much. It was like we were decaling and decaling for quite a few years, and that's when like the UV printing started to
Mm,
like come out, you know,
mm-hmm.
and they the first UV printed stuff I saw, I didn't really love, you know,
Right.
but there's the allure of not having to decal and overcoat like a bunch of figures, you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because it was like a nightmare. I think my wife helped me a lot back in the day, and without her, I probably wouldn't have gotten nearly as many done because it just is so time consuming. And then
Right.
you'll have like a lot of rejects,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nasty.
Yeah, I
But
don't envy you. That's
yeah, it was. I mean, back then it was fun, you know, because I didn't know of any other way, and there weren't other people weren't doing it in any other way really.
mm-hmm.
But so the UV printers were coming out, and we actually hired. I can't remember the dude's name. It was a guy in Australia who would do like UV printed figures,
Mm-hmm.
and he did some of our Dark Knight Jokers for us in UV. So, um, and I got them back from Australia, and I had like he made like 200 for me or something,
Did they
and
turn out
like
nice?
they no, I mean they were they weren't like nice. They were like you could see like ridges and like layers because it's
Mm-hmm.
he's got like an all green torso almost because he's got that vest,
Yeah, yeah.
and you can see like horizontal lines going across it and stuff. I mean, compared to a decal figure, it looked okay, but I wasn't like super stoked with it. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to be the ultimate like solution for us to get out of decaling.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I don't remember what Brickworld it was, but I think it was when Citizen Brick was first getting started, and I saw his stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is like how Lego does it, you know? I'm like, this, if this is what's going to be like the new normal, then I'm not going to be able to do decals anymore because it just, the pad printing looks so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like it's fresh from Lego. I'm like, so this Citizen Brick dude who's doing this pad printing, like, he's going to be really hard to compete with. And I looked into starting to pad print, and it is so complicated and time consuming, and there's not a lot of information out there on how to
I
get
was gonna
started.
say there's not enough information nowadays. I can only imagine back then what would be available.
Yeah, yeah, before YouTube was really big and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I saw Joe's stuff, and I loved it, and I loved his style because his style is kind of similar to Lego with like the thicker lines.
Yeah, yeah. It's just cohesive
And
with it. Yeah.
yeah, from the beginning, I loved his stuff. And I'm like, if I could work with this guy, because we have like similar styles of like keeping it kind of simple. And I'm like, if I could work with this dude and he could pad print our stuff, then it'd be like the best of both worlds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to him and we kind of hit it off. And he started printing for us. And that was 2013 or something.
Nice. What was
I
the
don't know, it's
first
a long time
figure?
ago. The first one he did for us was he actually printed some balaclava heads
Oh,
for
yeah.
us, yellow flesh behind, and he made quite a few for us. But I think those went really well because back then we did like there wasn't a lot of people doing military. There was Brick Arms had been out for a while already, but there weren't a lot of customizers doing military.
Right.
And I'm not like a big military guy. I don't know, like the only guns I know are guns that have been in like Call of Duty,
Cool.
you know.
Sure, sure, sure.
So um, I don't know like what kind of pouches to have on what torsos. It was just like I made a couple of World War II guys, and I made these like special operation guys, and they did really well at the shows and stuff. And Joe printed these balaclava heads for me, and they went really well with all the brick arms and stuff. And that was the first thing he ever did for us.
Nice. So, did you continue to do cons once you had Citizen Brick printed products, or did that kind of fade out?
No, we did because we did. I think our biggest show. I think we did shows in 2014 and 2015, and Joe had been printing for us for a couple years because I remember that show. We had like our Citizen Brick printed Mario's, and we had our Anchormen, and we had our Game of Thrones guys, and Citizen Brick printed all that stuff for us.
Right.
And we had really good shows those couple years, and then I got more busy with work,
Mm.
and I kind of like phased back because doing like going to a show is fun and tiring, but if you're like vending at a show and staying behind the
Yeah,
table
yeah,
for
yeah.
11 hours a day, it's exhausting, especially after like 3 days of it. And so we kind of like phased out doing that, and like I was busy selling stuff on Amazon and stuff, so uh,
Yeah, you
we kind
weren't
of like
relying on
phased
it.
out. Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Now, before we head into the new age of Minibigs with printing your own stuff, um, what was one of your favorite decaled figures that you had made?
Um, I probably liked the Dark Knight Joker the best.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was kind of like a fun design. It was kind of like unique, you know.
Yep.
And the only thing I didn't like about making that was we used like the Anakin style hair
Mm-hmm.
from that era, and we had to paint them all. So we had to paint them all like green, and so
Yeah.
that was that was rough.
That's another tedious process on top of
Yeah,
all the decaling.
yeah. So I like made these posts to like stand them all up, and I would try and do as many as I could in like one spraying and stuff,
Mm.
and in my garage. But that was a really cool figure. People really like that one, and when there's like a really good fan reception of something, it makes it more fun to make. You know.
Totally. And I think it's really cool that you've kind of gone back to those old designs now and made like just re-up them
Oh yeah,
with your new printing abilities. So
yeah. I think I would like to do maybe one or two of those a year, like revisiting old designs,
yeah, I think
because people really like that stuff. It seems like.
yeah, and it definitely has a space because even though they're simplistic and not like what is the current I wouldn't say trend, but just the current expected style, like they
Yeah,
still are a really unique piece and just especially for people who've been around, invoke the nostalgia of like back in those days. But
yeah.
they work as a standalone piece. They're really good. I was looking
Oh, thank
through
you.
and the comedian was definitely one that caught my eye. That'd be pretty neat to have
Oh, really?
redone.
Yeah, that one was that was pretty fun. I remember I used like that was fun to kind of like plan and stuff because we ended up using. I think it was Brick Forge had those shoulder pieces.
Yeah, I think it looks like a brick forge piece to me.
Yeah, and we had a special. It's called an Alps printer, and I guess decalers use them, and it lets you print. It prints like from a ribbon, and it's not ink, and so it
Oh,
allows you to print like metallic and white on top of like a decal.
huh.
Is I think they still use them, but they're like it's like an old technology, you know, and they
Right.
don't make them anymore. So I think they're kind of it's like a coveted piece of machinery because you can print like some like real cool stuff on decals.
That's interesting.
Um, because the comedian had like silver stuff on his shoulder pads, and so we could print in silver and still use the decal process, and it turned out pretty cool.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't expect it. Like you could kind of see the silver, but I wasn't expecting that it was actually necessarily like a difficult feature to acquire. with the
Oh
technology at
yeah.
the time. That's really sweet.
Yeah, thanks.
So now moving on into it really I don't know if it's a golden era is the proper word, but you're really coming into your own now with your own printer. Um, what what happened that you finally came back around to the thought of printing for yourself?
Um, well, we worked with Joe for, it wasn't 10 years. It was 8 years or something. He printed for us. So
A
it's
good
been a
bit.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. And as you know, like Citizen Brick, year after year gets more and more popular.
Yup.
And when we first started, I'm like,
Exponentially
hey,
popular every year.
yeah. And when we first started, I'm like, hey, Joe, can you print this for me? Can you print that for me? And he'd be like, oh, yeah, no problem. Like, get the art to me and get it done within a month or something. And sometimes it was like a couple of weeks. And I'd be like, oh, Joe, I need a reprint of this. And be like, okay, like a month or two at the
The good old
most,
days.
Yeah. I could really churn stuff out. But as he's gotten more popular, it ended up being like 3 things a year and then 2 things a year. And it like really started to slow down. The figures I think have gotten better and better and better, which is awesome.
Yeah,
But he's so
absolutely.
busy now. Um, it was getting really hard for him to like squeeze in new projects.
Mhm.
And I have like a list of 200 things on my phone of like stuff I want to make,
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh.
And so
Boy.
whenever Joe had like a window, I'd be like, oh, what am I going to do next?
Mhm.
And I'd talk to a couple friends and look at this giant list of mine, trying to like find out like what's next, and what could look really cool and what could like grab audiences. And there's no like multi-figure designs anymore. I can't do like another Game of Thrones with Joe where there's like 5 figures. Like that's not
Mm.
gonna happen. So it's
Mhm.
gotta be like a standalone figure that's cool. It's gotta meet these criteria.
Yeah.
And he did some really amazing stuff for us, and I'm really grateful for all the stuff he was able to work on over the years.
Yeah.
But
I
it got
mean,
to the point where it's like, I want to make this, I want to make this, I want to make this, and I'm not a super huge fan of UV. I like the pad printed look, and so that was like my only option. And I decided to look into it again, and I was in a place financially where I could make that initial investment
mm,
because all the equipment is pretty expensive.
yeah.
And so yeah, I was able to dive in and feet first, and I started running with it, and here I am, sweating
Awesome.
away in my basement. Yeah.
And so you've got it all because I know you want to. It's not just cranking the machine, putting ink on stuff. Like you got to make the plates and do all that extra stuff. So you're able to work all of that in house.
Yeah, that was like actually one of my goals was um first I'm like, oh, I gotta go big, I gotta get 4 color printer, and
Mm,
then I'm like, oh, these weigh 800 pounds, like that's not gonna work.
I'm
Like
not
I
carrying that
can't,
down the stairs to the
yeah, that's
basement.
not
Yeah.
going down in the basement. So I'm like, oh, what are my options? And then I found out they're like, oh, they're $18,000. Like, okay, like
Wow.
I'm willing to jump in, but not like that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a
So
bold move.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I could found out you could do like the manual ones, like one color, just manual. Like, um, like you put the plate on, and there's the cup, just like the pneumatic ones, except you
Hmm.
like crank it with your arm, you know. So I'm like, oh, I'll start with that and like um, learn the basics. Now what we started with, that's what we started with, and I was able to do everything from home, which I'm still doing, and it's
Yeah.
actually really nice being able to work like doing the side job from home and not having to go to a shop.
Yeah.
Like if
No,
I
that's
have
great.
an hour or 2 hours, I can just like go work on it whenever I want, and then come up for dinner. You know,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
it's, it's
Gives you a
pretty
lot of
cool.
freedom. That is great.
Yeah, it really does.
So are you still working off of that just hand crank printer, that starter
Oh
one,
no,
or
I got that in May, and then I ended up getting a like one that works off of an air compressor.
Oh,
You
okay,
know,
sure.
I got one of the fancier ones in the summertime.
Is that like a
I think
two-color one?
no, it's still a one color one.
Okay.
Um, I got the one color. There's like a big jump in weight even because the one color one is like 100 and something pounds, and then the two color one I had to have on a stand, and
Mm.
so it like jumped up to 300 pounds. And I'm like, I'm just gonna get the small one to start. You know,
Mhm.
I can always get like the bigger, better one at some other point.
Is it difficult to work with doing one like layer or color at a time, or are you kind of growing used to that sort of system?
I'm I just I don't know any different.
Right.
Yeah,
That yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
I see videos and it's like boom, 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 boom. Like, oh, a 5 color print's done. Like
It's
that
like
must be
must be
nice, you
nice,
know?
but I'm all right.
Yeah, yeah. It's basically the same exact process, except after I do one color on one piece, I have to take it off and put on another piece. You know,
Mhm.
and I like do 100 pieces of the white, but you have to load it and unload each time, as opposed
Right.
to loading it once and it getting hit 5 times and being completely finished.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, I
So
could see
it's like
that.
it takes a lot longer just for the loading and unloading of every piece. But um, I was thinking about it today, and it's kind of nice because after it like stamps the white, you can inspect it and like
Mm,
make sure that white layer is perfect because you're taking it off and like visually looking at it, you know, before
right.
it jumps to the next color. So like it lets you keep like a really good uh, view and the process of like a piece, even if it's like 4 or 5 colors, you can see every color and make sure it's lined up perfectly. And
Yeah, I'm
um,
working with a lot less rejects then, hopefully.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's great. So, man, I you mentioned already you have 200 page list of ideas, but I'm
yeah.
curious where you sort of gather your inspiration from on the projects you're going to tackle next.
Uh, Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but I kind of just do the stuff I feel like doing like at that time, which business wise isn't like a great idea. Um,
I
and
respect
you
that
come
though.
up,
Hey, you got to enjoy it, you know?
yeah. Um, so yeah, so sometimes I'll be like, ooh, I love Joe Dirt. Like this year, I've watched it 5 times. It's hilarious. I love this part. I love that part. I'm like thinking in my head, oh, what can Joe Dirt look like? Like what costume is he going to be wearing? You know.
Mhm.
And then the ball starts rolling, and I got everything planned out. And then I sit back and be like, am I going to be able to sell 300 Joe Dirts? Like, I'm already past the point
How big
of
is the
like,
Joe Dirt fan base in Lego community?
yeah,
Like, yeah.
I hope it's really big. But I kind of like go down once the ball starts rolling and you like get into it and you get excited about a project.
Yeah, there's no stopping
Uh,
that.
yeah, you just kind of like got to go with it.
Mhm.
Um, so I kind of just pick stuff that I like because it's fun to work on. You know, like
Yeah.
if I'm doing a figure and it's going to take me 20 hours start to finish, I'd rather be working on something that I like, you know, than as opposed to a character from Star Wars that I don't really know and
Mhm.
I don't really care about that much. Like I'd rather do Joe Dirt.
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you just gotta hope that there's just a bunch more people out you with a similar sensibility.
Right. Yeah, I just hope. Yeah.
So in the
Yeah, I would
past,
love
you
to
had
see those.
yeah, in the past with some of the commissions you've done with Citizen Brick, you had some political figures. Is that something you think you'd like a topic or theme you'd revisit again, or are you is that kind of gonna stay in the past?
Uh, I would revisit it again, but the way it shook out in like 2016, it was like it was Hillary Clinton versus Trump, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And I'm like, oh, that'd be like funny to do a Trump, you know, because the dude's not going to win, and he's such a character, and
Yeah,
like that would be fun. Like the Hillary Clinton one's like not nearly as fun, and I'm like, but she's going to win, so I'm just going to do a run of like 200 of each or whatever.
mhm.
Um, I'll probably be stuck with these the Trumps possibly because when Hillary wins,
Nobody's
like
gonna
at
want
least
that.
she'll be
Yeah.
president.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be president, and somebody will buy the rest of them. It won't be a big deal. So Trump wins, and the Trump figure like blows up because the people who it's kind of like a caricature
Mm-hmm.
drawing of him,
Yeah, it
and
really captures it well, honestly.
yeah. So the people who hate him love it because he's got a goofy look on his face, and the people that love him love it because it's Trump.
Yeah.
So it ended up selling like really well. We sold like 800 or something of the
Oh my
original
gosh.
design, and it didn't even have a custom torso. It was really just a custom
Yeah,
head.
that's just the head, right?
Yeah, and it
Oh
was
my
on
gosh.
a like a Lego suit,
Mm-hmm.
and I like couldn't get the suits anymore. So I'm like, oh, I guess this is over. And they were selling so well. We did it in like it's like flesh, I think it's called. It's like the hot doggy color,
Yeah, now
you know?
Lego switched up the things, but yeah, now I think that one's just flesh.
Okay, yeah. So we originally did it in that color, and they sold like fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause we were selling stuff on Amazon then too, and so it like blew up, and we sold like a ton of them. I'd call Joe and be like, "Dude, can you print me more of these, please?" And he did like another run of like 200, and I got the torsos together, and
And by the time you got them, they were
um,
sold out again. That's
yeah, and they're selling like crazy. And then I called Joe. I'm like, Joe, I need another reprint. And he's like, I'm out of flesh. Like I can do it
wow.
on light flesh. I'm like, okay. And so he printed like the next run was on light flesh. And so there's if you look at the old Citizen Brick printed ones, there will be like different color heads.
Mm-hmm.
And um I think the most of them were the flesh color, but there were some light flesh ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that they sold like really well, and uh they kind of like ran its course a little bit. And then Joe actually made a V2 version for it. So there's like uh, a version where Joe actually did the artwork. Originally, my friend Myron had done the artwork for like the first run.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
so there's two different like
Yeah.
mini Big Trumps. There's
Yeah, and then
the
that one had
original,
the custom suit.
right? Yeah, with like the too long of a tie and stuff. Yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Joe did a super good job,
Right.
and so that sold really well. And I think I mean, I would do it again, but it's kind of like I'm kind of
If it's fitting for the times.
yeah, and everything has gotten so edgy for
Mm.
politics lately. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like
Mm-hmm. It's a hard thing to
whenever I
touch.
would, yeah, whenever I would post it or like repost it, there'd be like arguments in the comments and shit. I'm like, ugh, I'm like, I might be done with this. There's too
Shit.
much drama for a Lego figure, you know.
Yep. Yep. Now that you have your own printer, do you think you'll make some custom Biggie legs?
You know, I really that's probably the question I get the most, especially in our chat group.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm coming out with a new product, it's like, oh, Biggie legs, Biggie legs, Biggie legs, and like I will never live it down that I use like Lego brand legs with Biggie. Yeah, I would love to do. I would love to do some like Timberland boots. I think
Oh
that would be really
yeah.
cool.
You know,
That
I
would be
I
great.
I just wanted to do this to poke fun, but yeah, he totally would have the Tims. That would be perfect.
Yeah, that be nobody's really done that yet
Not
either.
at all.
So that would be really fun.
Dude, you actually really should do that. Oh my gosh.
Especially Scott. Whenever I've got anything brand new, Scott's like legs. Where are the legs? I need legs with shoes. Where are the Nike shoes? Like every time I like post anything.
I still want to see some Vans. Oh my gosh, man.
Oh
Because I
yeah,
think Joe's
those would
only
be
really
fun.
tackled like Adidas, like it's just got the basic stripes. Like there's a lot of room to make some
Yeah,
cool
he did.
shoes.
It seems like he's done Adidas like 5 times or something. He did Nike recently with
Right, the mags
the
for
Dreams figure.
Dreams. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Those came out nice.
and Joe Dirt had Reeboks, but they're kind of
Oh, that's
like
true. That is true.
low profile kind of Reeboks. Like if you don't know what Reeboks look like, you wouldn't really know what kind of shoe it was, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'd love to do like I'd love to do some Vans and Nikes and Timberlands and
Oh my God, what if you
um
made Crocs?
yeah, that'd be really good.
That just came to me, and then it would just show, I guess, the leg color underneath, if
Ooh,
the
yeah,
holes.
yeah, that'd be fun.
Hmm, that's a
Yeah,
freebie.
there's so many
You're welcome. You're
possibilities.
welcome.
I'll send you a free pair when I make my
Hey, I'll take it.
Croc
I'll take
legs.
what I could get.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I've learned that legs and shoe patterns are incredibly difficult and very, very time consuming.
To print.
Yeah,
So
because they're
what?
printed on like multiple sides and everything's got to line up
Oh, the
perfect.
alignment.
And
Yeah.
I did shoes for David from Schitt's Creek,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
it's kind of like an easy version because he's got like black pants and black shoes, so it's kind of
Yeah. You just
easier.
needed the white print, right?
Yeah, so they turned out okay, but
Hmm.
it's like something I like really want to dabble with and like learn how to do really well.
Yeah. No, there's a
It'd
lot of
be
potential
fun.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just shows how thirsty everyone is for shoes. Because even David from Schitt's Creek, everyone was like, "Yo, good shoes, we need it."
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and those are what kind of shoes were those? Oh, those are the Converse, which Citizen Brick has already done Converse, and
for
people were still super thirsty for it.
which figure did he make Converse for? Was it the?
Smokey
Oh
from the
yeah,
Friday
okay.
set,
Oh, okay.
he had Converse, and
I never realized those were actually Converse. I just thought they were shoes. Just
yeah,
like,
yeah, there, and Kurt Cobain, it's got Converse. Those just came out recently.
that's true. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I never really I just see those ones as just plain shoe. It's like
right.
if he had the
Yeah,
high
sometimes they're
tops and
hard
you
to
got like
tell.
the circle, like the branding, those would be pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
So, how do you feel about taking on commissions? I like to say that I took your commission virginity with some
Mm.
obscure should we say abstract mushrooms, some
Yeah,
might say, some might call it that.
yeah.
And I think that was a very fitting first commission. But you've also recently started doing commissions with Dame's Drops, who
Hmm.
I don't really know much about him, but he's a huge internet personality. Maybe you could describe how that came about.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know him either, and I had never heard of him before. Uh, but I he I can't remember. I made something and posted about it, and he commented on it, and he just came out of nowhere and asked me if I did commissions. I'm like, oh, who's this dude? And I was like, oh, he's like very. He had like the check mark by his name, and I was like, oh
Hmm. Hmm.
shit, like who's this dude? You know?
Yeah,
And I
got your
looked him up
attention
on
real quick.
Instagram. Yeah, and he had like a ton of followers on Instagram. And I told my son, I'm like, oh, do you know this dude named Dame Drops? And he's like, yeah. I've been watching his videos since I was like 12 years old. And I'm like, what?
No way.
Yeah. And I guess he's like even way bigger on YouTube. He's got like millions of followers. I was like,
Really?
holy shit. Like, I had no idea. Like, my kid knew who he was, and I had like no clue. And
I
so,
didn't
yeah,
know
he
he
does like
started on
food
YouTube. I gotta check
reviews.
that.
Yeah. He's like really, really big. So, yeah, he approached me and was like, yeah, I want to do something for something kind of unique. And he had some figures made by another customizer,
It's all
and
coming together now. I didn't know it was this guy. Just like looking through his Instagram page, like it didn't
mhm.
click, but on YouTube, I've totally seen his videos before. This is
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
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 it's all coming together now. Wow.
yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, that is
And
awesome, man.
yeah, so he approached me and was like, "Yeah, I want to get some stuff done," and I'm like, he had already like done a couple of just like himself, you know, in
Mhm.
like different with another customizer, just wearing like different outfits or whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it because it might be kind of boring to just do another figure of this guy, you know.
Sure.
And then he wanted to do it around Halloween. I'm like, well, it might be kind of cool if you like do a zombie version of yourself. And he
Yeah.
was like super down with it. He's like, oh, absolutely. Like that's
That
a super
that is
good idea.
perfect. That's perfect.
And my good friend, you know, Mike McHugh,
Of course.
um,
Yep.
Citizen Order. So I asked him if he could draw something up, maybe like a zombified version of his head. And he like drew it up, and it looked great. And Dame loved it, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, that is really awesome. And I mean,
Yeah.
rest is history kind of deal. You made a 2-pack recently, which I think is for his like tour or something.
Yeah, he's going on like a food tour with like another big YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made like a 2-figure pack of him and his friend he's going on tour with.
Yeah,
And
that is
Mike
really
Mike
cool.
did the art for that one too, and it was fun. I did like a little unique packaging for it, and he's gonna sell it
Mm-hmm.
with his other stuff. Like when he sells like T-shirts and stuff on his tour, he's gonna have
Yeah,
these
just like in the
minifigures,
merch
which is pretty
stand.
fun. Yeah,
That is really cool. Shout out to Mike again. Legendary
yeah,
artist.
he's great. He's done quite a few projects. He's working on a few projects for us, and everything he does, he sends me, and it's just I'm blown away. It's
Mm-hmm.
always good.
Mm-hmm. He's done so many stickers for people at this point. It's like you could start
Oh,
your own collection of just Mike's work. It's crazy.
oh yeah, for sure. He did stickers
He
for
I almost forgot. He
Bert.
made my Bricks and Banter logo. I almost forgot
Did
about
he?
that. Yeah.
Oh
I
wow,
told him
jeez.
up real quick about it. Because for the first couple episodes, I just had like this random one that I got off the internet, like from a generator.
Hmm.
And I was like, hey, I mean, I'm trying to get a little more serious about this. I'd like to have something that's um like not in 480p. Like, would you draw something up? And of course, I'll pay you. I know you can handle it really well. And he drew it up and he added like the studs to the side to make it like bricks. And it's just totally something I wouldn't have thought of. And it's perfect. It's perfect for the podcast.
That's really neat. Is that like the neon?
Yeah. Yep. The
Like the
neon
neon
sign.
look?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it's really cool.
Just wrapping up on the commissions conversation. Obviously, you've had a lot of success with Dames, and of course, my commission, which was your favorite. You don't have to say
Yeah,
anything.
it was. It
Um,
was my favorite.
is that something you could see yourself doing more in the future? Of course, if the project is something you're interested in, because as we know, Citizen Brick's kind of been stopping theirs because it's just such a time-consuming and difficult thing to work on when you're trying to grow your business and do your own projects.
Yeah, yeah. When they are phasing out, I think the last figure he did for us is going to be the last one, unfortunately. But yeah, when he was talking about it, the last project, and he mentioned to me like, "Are you sure you don't?" Because I was already printing. It's kind of funny because like he's doing commission work for me, and I'm
Hmm.
doing commission work for other people at the same time. This is kind of crazy, but he's like, "You could just print this. Like, why don't you print it?" I'm uh, like at that point, I was like, "Well, you can like do it better, you know."
Yeah.
And he has like some techniques he wanted to try out on it. He like did that denim pattern
Yeah. Yeah.
on the legs and
What I've
stuff. I'm
always
like, dude,
appreciated with you guys collaborating is it's always pushed them to test something new. So like Biggie had just so many print colors on the Coogee sweater. Yeah, Joe Dirt with the just really crazy intricate denim work on the pants.
yeah, the denim work was actually kind of wild because I was just gonna do jeans. And he's like, "Oh, what color legs are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm gonna do like sand blue or whatever," because he wears kind of like old acid wash type jeans in the
Mhm.
movie.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna let me try something." And he like sent me the artwork. It had this like crazy pattern on the legs. I'm like, "Dude, like what is this? Like, can you print this, or did you just like put it on
Are you just having
there?
fun? Like
Are you trying to just visualize it or something?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna try something new and try and do this acid wash pattern." And I'm like, this is not gonna be able to do this. This is ridiculous. Like it's just not something that's done with pad printing really."
yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got this new thing. I'm gonna try this with the screen." I'm like, "Okay."
And
And
the Mad Lad did it. The Mad Lad did
yeah,
it.
and, and he like sent me a picture. He's like, "You think this looks good?" And I'm like, yeah." He's like, "Oh, so should I roll with it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
definitely."
absolutely. Like
It was like his idea, and I like really didn't think he'd be able to do it, but he like nailed it. It looked amazing.
yeah, that was really incredible.
So I'm glad I didn't try and save a few bucks and print it myself because that would not have happened.
Mm.
Anything close to that.
Mhm.
Um, so I think was that my last job? I'm old. I can't even remember if that was my last job with him or not.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. There's been so many projects. I like lose track.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that was probably our last one. And
Mhm. It's a
um
good one to end on.
yeah, it was. It was really cool. but he's phasing it out, and I don't think he's doing any anymore.
Yeah,
And I started printing and doing my own stuff, and I did your amazing commission,
of
which
course.
was my favorite job.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And and that was with my old like Kerchunker printer too.
Oh, okay.
So sorry if the quality looking back is not the greatest, but
No, no, no. It adds to the aesthetic of anything.
yeah, it probably does with that design, yeah. Um, but that was really fun. And then I've done a couple other. I did them for Dame and a couple other friends. I've printed stuff, and I do get messages like, "Oh, can you print this and this? I want this clone trooper. It's going to have 3 colors on the front, 3 on the back, and legs and head, and like all this stuff." And I'm like, "Dude, this is going to cost you like a lot. That's like a tremendous amount of work. Like I don't even do this much work on my figures just because it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
giant
yeah.
time suck. Like I don't want to work on this for like 2 months,
Mm.
And then I was like thinking like, oh, now I kind of get it. Like Joe wants to work on his own stuff and not be thinking about like whatever stupid new project I want to do. I don't.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to like consume all of his time and money and energy doing something that's not even his.
Yeah, I'm not even on that
Um,
level of doing it like on a commercial basis, but doing commissions for modded brick arms and stuff like that. It just reached a point. It was
uh,
like just sucking the life out of anything else I wanted to create.
right? Yeah, it does because you have to put your own like creative juices on hold,
Yeah.
and do something else. So, but
And
if it's like a smaller job, like your job, I just did a head for one of our friends, and
mm,
I don't think he's released it yet. So
oh yeah,
I don't
that
want to
sounds
spoil the
exciting. That
surprise.
sounds exciting.
Yeah, but that was fun, and like I enjoy doing stuff for friends and people I know. If it's like a smaller project, but if it's something I can do like in a day or in a weekend, like that's cool. But
Hmm.
I can't be working on something that's going to take 15 plates and like
Yeah.
2 months of my life. Like
Getting into like a
I can't
brand
do
new business venture, like
it. Yeah, yeah, I just can't do it. There's
totally.
too much stuff I want to do that's on my giant list.
Yeah. Yeah. The 200 list is still expanding.
It really is. Yeah.
All right. Almost wrapping up here. There is one important question and topic that must be addressed. You are to blame for one of the greatest menaces in the Citizenberg community. It's entirely your
You must be
fault
you must
that,
be talking about Parker.
of course,
Okay.
who else could it be? Um, it is entirely your fault that this man owns the Spring Breaker set. Um,
Yeah.
it's a damn shame. Um, I don't know if I can forgive you.
That's a long, complicated story. But unfortunately the end is Parker getting the Spring Breaker set. But there's a lot of history there and a lot of
Hmm.
stuff that went down to get to that point. But it is missing a piece. It's missing one
Yes,
little tiny
thankfully,
piece.
thankfully.
If I had that piece, I would have never sold it. But since it was
Really?
incomplete, I
If it
was
if it had the pink balaclava, you would have never sold it?
I would have never sold it.
Wow, okay.
But Joe, in fact, I was on like I didn't really want to sell it anyway, but that was like one of my lean times where we didn't have like a lot of cash flow at the time.
Mm.
And I posted it. It was just like sitting on my bookshelf for a couple years, and I posted a picture of it on Instagram. And this dude named Parker comes out of nowhere, and is like, "Hey, you want to sell this?" And I'm like, "No, no, not really." And then
Mind you, he's like
he like,
13 at the time.
yeah, yeah, probably.
Perpetually 13, of course.
Yeah. And he like made me an offer, and I'm like, dude, if you're serious, like, okay. But I asked Joe about it because Joe had kind of like sent it to me just
Mm,
because he had like a couple extra in the shop or something. He's like, hey, you want one of these? And I'm like, yeah.
that's cool.
And so he sent me one. He goes, oh, the only problem is I can't find the pink balaclava that goes with it. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, that's cool. And the figures in it were cool. It's got like the Gucci in it, right?
Yep, yep, an alien.
Yep. No, those two figures are amazing. And so I was sitting on my shelf forever, and then Parker made me an offer, and I'm like, Joe was not like Joe was on the hunt looking for that pink balaclava for me for a while,
Hmm.
and he was never able to find it. I mean, but it was a gift, so it was awesome regardless.
Of course, yeah.
But I asked Joe if it was cool if I sold it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "I'm selling to someone who's like real passionate in the community, and he's gonna love it." He's like, "Yeah, cool, that's cool." I'm like, "All right." So uh, didn't have that balaclava, and Parker knew that when he bought it, and I decided to let it go. I did. That was like before. I mean, I was into Citizen Brick. I collected pretty much one of everything
Mm,
because I worked with him all the time. So whenever he'd come out with something new, I'd usually pick it up.
totally, yeah.
But I wasn't like in the deep Citizen Brick community, you know?
Like you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm in real deep.
Too
Um,
deep.
yeah. So like Parker made me the offer, I couldn't refuse, and I was like, all right, man.
Mm.
You know.
So before we move into design or resign, there's one last subject, a touchy subject, as you have just said.
Yeah.
Um, rumor has it that you have Action Abe. However, it is lost. It is lost in your garage with all the mountains of Lego. Yeah, are these rumors and allegations true?
I don't know. I swear that I had an Action Abe from way back in the day. I bought it at like Brick World 2012 or something.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, this is cute, whatever. And I bought it. And like I had the original like tattoo enthusiast and like the biker dude. And I had all these things. And like when I would get back from a show, I would like put everything in a bin. I would have it all together. And it was just like something cool, like in custom. It wasn't like, didn't realize it was going to be like the holy grail of System Brick. So I just like threw all the stuff like everywhere in my garage, and I got like bins and buckets of Lego and minifigure pieces and whatever. And so everyone was talking once I got like deeper in the community of Citizen Brick. Everyone was talking about how crazy rare Action Abe is. I'm like, I think I have one of these somewhere. So I spent like an entire weekend going through all my old Lego crap, and I found like some like really great systems. Like I found the original tattoo dude. I found that biker dude. I found like all kinds of stuff that I remembered having,
Wow,
and
you
I
had the
could
one of the
not.
biker dudes too,
Yeah,
and you found that one? I didn't know.
yeah,
That's awesome.
and I couldn't find Action Abe, and I found other stuff I know I had from the same convention. So I don't know if it's just still lost in my garage. I don't know if I gave it to my kid. I don't know if it was with something else I sold. I don't know if I
Maybe
don't
it's
know.
the Mandela effect. You just there's no telling.
Yeah, I have no clue. And then I was thinking like maybe I dreamt that I had it. And then I have like nightmares where I find it, but it's all scratched up. It's like a whole thing. So maybe someday when
Maybe
I'm
one day you'll be
65,
reunited.
yeah, someday I'll find it, and maybe by then nobody will care. But I don't know.
You'll care at
Well,
least.
hopefully it turns up.
Yeah, yeah. Wishing you luck.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really cool. Did you keep the biker figure? I didn't realize you had one of those too.
I think I sold that one a few years ago. I mean, I know I definitely don't have it anymore. I think I sold it with some of my like older Citizen Brick stuff.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was. It's like one of those things where somebody makes you an offer, and it's kind of like, is this little piece of plastic worth
Worth that much?
me?
Yeah,
Is it
totally.
worth me holding on to this, or would I rather have
Yeah, yeah,
X amount of money like in my hand? You know,
yeah. It's
and
it's it's
some
crazy.
stuff I just have to let go after a
Yep.
while. And,
Yeah.
and these other people will enjoy it more than I will, probably. You know.
Especially if they're coughing up that much for it, they
Yeah,
certainly must want it.
yeah, they're definitely passionate about it. So
Hmm.
sometimes I feel better like paying bills and making someone else happy at the same time. You know.
Yeah. No, you got to know it went to a good home.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the only way
definitely.
I can sleep at night, knowing some of the things I've traded to people. I
Oh, I
make
can't imagine.
I go through the mental recap and I'm like, at least it went to Derek. It's okay. It went to Dash. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like,
Yeah. And you know, most of these people still have all this stuff. And
absolutely. Yeah.
like at
Yeah.
least I'll know Parker will probably have sprinkler breakers like forever. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's not like he flipped it and sold it because I would feel way worse. But I
Yeah.
know he like cherishes it, so that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it all comes around. Sometimes you're gonna come up on a piece that they let go of just because they know you'll cherish it. So it all comes
Right.
back around. It's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah, that's definitely happened. Yeah, the community is great.
Yeah,
And
totally.
even something that happened that blew my mind was I printed Anchorman. Citizen Brick printed it,
Hmm.
and I'd printed like the dark red version, like the burgundy version. And then I made some gold ones, and I made some blue ones. They were all like 70s style, like colors, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I didn't hold on to that. I had the other colors. I never had blue. And I mentioned it like at the bottom of an Instagram post a few years ago. And one day I just got a package and it just said it was from, I think the guy's name was Nick something. I didn't
Mm,
recognize his last name. There was a note in there saying like, "Oh, I hope you enjoy this" or something, and it was the Blue Anchorman.
that's really
That
lovely.
yeah, I'd only Citizen printed probably 100 of them, and he just read that I didn't have it for my collection, and he just sent it to me. I have no idea who this dude is. I like looked for him and like asked on like social media trying to find this dude, and I have no idea who he is. He just sent it to
Wow,
me because he knew I would enjoy it. It's just wild.
that is really amazing.
Yeah, it was really really cool. But I still feel bad because I don't know who he is. I
You
can't even
can't
say
thank
thank
him.
you. You know,
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick.
wherever you are.
All right, we're at the end here. Final thing up is design or resign. In a similar vein to Copper Drop, we're going to go through a list of some items that you might want to design, make it into a product, make them Lego, or you're going to resign, pass on them.
Okay.
First up is Tupac. Since you've already had Biggie in your lineup, do you think you might create Tupac?
Yeah, I would love to. I think that'd be a really cool figure. Um, I know someone else has done it recently, and it was okay. And it would probably be in a similar style that I would want to do.
Hmm.
So that's always kind of an issue. Like I don't mind making something that someone else has made, but I don't want it to look the same. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
like if I was going to make a Tupac, like I can't make it like that person. I would have to make like a different version.
Yeah, or like different
That's
outfit and trying
yeah,
best to
and it's got to be
offer
just as
something new.
good. Yeah, and it's got to be just as good or better. Otherwise, it's not really worth doing.
Oh,
You know,
hopefully better. Hopefully better.
hopefully. So yeah, that is on my list. That is definitely something I would like to do.
Awesome. So next up, still keeping with the music genre, one of your commissions back then from Citizen Brick was Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. Would you
Mhm.
consider making Childish Gambino from the Because the Internet era?
I would really like to do that one. The only issue I would have with doing that one is Citizen Brick did the first one, so I feel
Mm,
like I mean we did it, but Citizen Brick did it. You know, it was something we collaborated
yeah,
on.
yeah,
So I might even feel a little weird doing it by myself because the first one was so good. It's like one of my favorite figures of all time. So, and I feel like I would probably have a similar face, but I don't want to
yeah. I
copy
think
his style.
that's really the
Yeah,
difficult part because the rest of the figure with the Hawaiian shirt doesn't really match much, but Joe really captured the face really well. So,
yeah, yeah. I really liked it.
well,
So,
in that he's clean shaven though, so there might
oh, he is.
hey, hey,
Hey, yeah.
this is
And
coming
like
together.
the other Gambino one had like a big smile on his face, and this one he's like
Yeah, he's
more
very
serious
stern.
too. Yeah,
This is huge.
I'm writing that
We're
down.
breaking new ground.
All right, hold on.
I swear to you though, if you make the Childish Gambino, I might have to be like who is it? Geek Lover 40 with all the Spider-Man he bought.
Ooh,
Um
yeah, please do. That'd be
that
awesome.
is sincerely one of my favorite albums. That's really is what got me into hip hop and rap.
Wow,
Um
really?
yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll do a
So,
special run of 40 different colors, and I'll
oh,
fully
thank you.
expect you to buy
Yeah,
one
I'll
each.
start saving. I'll start saving and purchasing lube too, because this is gonna be it's gonna be a tough day when that comes around.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you could manage to print the Hawaiian shirts, that's anybody's gonna want a chance at those.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm writing all this down. All right, I got it.
All right. Last up, this one was a fan submission, came in through the poll on Instagram. Don Draper from Mad Men or any other Mad Men characters. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. That was on my monster list at one point because the show is really good. I really enjoyed the show.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm like picking what figures I want to make and what I want to do, I try and think of like a unique look or something that'll make this figure interesting as opposed to other things that other people have done or that Lego's already made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of Mad Men. I'm thinking like they're just dudes in suits.
Yeah, they really are just dudes in suits.
Yeah, so like, how unique can I make this person's face versus that person's face, even though they're both wearing suits? So like, I was just going to be like a dude in a suit, and I don't think it'll be like interesting enough. I don't think people will be able to look at it and be like, "Oh, that's Don Draper from Mad Men." Like,
It's
I
just
don't
the
know
guy
if
in a
that's going
suit.
to happen. Right.
Maybe you could give it sort of the Donald Trump treatment where you just make the face and people could add their own suit or something like that.
Right. Yeah,
Could be
that's
interesting.
possible. But the second version of Trump, he had a suit on, which is boring.
Yeah.
But the length of his tie was too long, like it was in that like the meme or whatever, with a piece of cellophane tape on it.
Yeah, like there was something
And it made
unique
it
to the
funny.
suit. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was like super unique, and you're like, oh, that's like when he screwed up his tie or whatever, and like that's funny. But if it's just like a bunch of dudes from the 50s wearing like perfect suits, that's probably too boring.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a real pleasure, Al. Thank you for coming on. Is there any final thoughts you have for the audience?
Well, it's been great. Thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. I would like to thank everyone for supporting me really in my new venture. There's a lot of people that show me a ton of support and buy my products and encourage me to keep moving, keep trying, even after I've kind of started printing my own stuff. And it's really, really nice. And I don't want to name a bunch of names, but you guys know who you are.
Totally.
And the amount of support I've gotten since I've printed my own stuff has been really amazing. And I'm really happy, and I'm really excited to make a lot of cool stuff this year. So it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate all of you.
Yeah. I don't just say it to be kind or anything, but I'm very excited to see what you're going to do within the coming year, because it's lots of great ideas on the table, and your printing quality is only getting better and more ambitious, which is the most exciting part.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we actually had talked about a couple military projects a few months ago.
And, I mean, you do have the parts. You do have the parts.
Yeah, the parts
it's only
are
a matter
here.
of time. Only a matter of time.
I was a little squeamish about it, but I've learned a few more things since then, and I'm ready to come out with. I know a lot of people already do military, but it was kind of a unique thing we came up with. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a little off the beaten path of like strict military. It's got something.
It is, yeah.
I am excited to see when you come out with those.
Yeah, cool.
Audience is just gonna have to stay tuned. Make sure to go follow Al on Instagram at Minibigs.
Yeah. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to say, Billy.
Go ahead.
Is your intro song for the podcast is so good. I was listening to it, and I'm like, what song did he find this from? Like, who is singing about bricks and stuff? I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm like, but it sounds like so amazing. I'm like, who do you steal this from? And then you said that like your friends made it?
Yeah, no, my really good childhood friend, he makes his own music. It's something he's been doing for a couple of years now, and he has a unique sort of style. So I knew it'd be fitting for what I was looking for. And dude, he knocked it out of his park. And the female voice singing is his sister, who he kind of just roped into doing it, and she just does amazing vocals.
Dude, it's amazing.
I seriously couldn't be happier with the product. He goes by Charlie _ the Nomad on Spotify if you want to stream his stuff. really great guy, and just some really cool tunes. He's only getting better. It's good stuff.
That's really great. The female vocalist in it, I thought was someone from a band I used to listen to. Her like vocals sound like really similar, and I'm like, dude, did he get this lady? Like that's impossible. Like this she sounds so good. I'm like, this can't be this lady. It's like from a band called Wild Bell or something. Wild Bells. I don't remember the name of that band, but her voice is like very similar, and it blew me away. It's so good.
I'll definitely check out Wild Bells, but yeah, I appreciate it. I'll also make sure to forward your praises to him.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great.
And that wraps up this episode of Bricks and Banner. Thank you all for listening, and thank you again, Al, for coming on. It was a really great time getting to talk with you. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or reposting it on your Instagram. Our Instagram page is bricks_and_banter. All the support and shares there really help the podcast grow a lot, so thank you. I think that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed again. Make sure to come back next episode as I talk with Gideon, aka Angry Stash.